5, 6, welcome to Science at my house. We're kind of going to have to just do science a little bit differently this term. I know that every day you'll log in and do your literacy and numeracy with your teacher, and then science is kind of an extra bonus, I guess. I'll be making videos for you and putting them up pretty regularly. I'm thinking probably twice a week. We'll see how that goes. And there'll be experiments that you can do. And I'd like you just to keep track of the stuff that you're doing in a little notebook, and you'll see that in the video that's coming up in just a moment. So the best thing about being in grade 5, 6, I think, and doing this online is that you are very competent with using things like Google Classroom and your iPads and computers, which will make it heaps easier for you. If you ever have questions or things you want to know about, you can write to me through an email address, which I'll give you, but you can also type it onto Google Classroom too. So it's a really great way for us to be in touch. You will be able to write to each other. We just have to stick to the usual rules about comments, and you know what they are. So far, I've been very impressed with your use of Google Classroom. So the way I think this term is going to work is that I'm going to be making videos like this. There'll be little segments, snippets of information that I find or things you might find interesting, and you can watch them, and each week I'll set a task that I would like you to try if you can. Now, as you know, some classes were a little bit ahead of other classes at the end of last term because of Labor Day holiday, and then the final week being a bit crazy with helping the younger children in Google Classroom. And so I have to do an activity that some of you have done and some of you have not done. We're going to begin with that, and it's about yeast. And then we'll move on to some other things in the coming weeks. I had a special request from a couple of kids in grade 5, 6 who said, if we have to learn from home, we would really love to do chemistry. And it is a perfect topic to do at home. There are so many things you can do in your kitchen with everyday items. So I'm putting together a little plan of different activities, experiments that you can do that will also teach you about chemical reactions, physical reactions, and we'll talk all about that through this term too. Well, that's about all I have for you right now. There's some videos coming up after this. Keep watching through, and then on Google Classroom underneath, I'll have a list of the things that I'd like you to do before next week when we really kind of kick it off properly. I hope that you're all going well, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.
Today I'm going to be talking to you about creating your very own science journal. The first thing you need is just any notebook that you've got lying around your house. Right in the front of it that it's your science journal. Now in this video you can see I've flipped to the back of the book, and I'm actually starting with a list of ideas of things that I might want to learn about or write about in my journal. So you might like to do the same thing. You might have a particular thing that you love learning about. Maybe it's rocks, maybe it's insects, maybe it's chemistry, and in the back of the book you could have a whole list there of things that when you get the time that you might come back to. It's a little bit like a writer's notebook that you might have at school, just a way to keep track of ideas, and then later on when you have a moment to do some science you can look at that list and say, oh yeah, that's right, I wanted to have a bit of a look at animal bones, and that's what I'm going to talk about today, or something like that. So as you can see here, I'm making a list actually of ideas for Science at Mrs. Mac's House show, which hopefully we'll be doing in the coming weeks. On the front page of my book, I just put some little reminders of things that you can include when you're doing a science journal. The first box there says ask questions, and that is the first step for every scientist. Look around you, see things in your life, and then ask questions about how they work. And that leads on to the second one there, which says notice things. So you might be outside and you might think, why is that fly kind of flying? And then it looks like it hits a corner and flies in the other direction. You can ask those things, draw pictures, write them down. Then try things out. Try testing things, do little experiments. Make sure you record everything you do in this book as well. Look for answers to your questions. So once you've got some questions, maybe you've done some tests, why don't you go and read about it either in a book, or you might be able to look online on some websites. A lot of libraries actually have books that you can borrow online now. Next thing, draw what you see. So do pictures of insects, do pictures of trees or things that you notice things that happen in your kitchen when you're cooking, any of that kind of stuff is another good thing to put in your science journal. And finally, it's a really good idea to go and tell other people about it, maybe mum or dad or a brother or sister, or you can tell us on Google Classroom too. Chuck your name at the bottom so you know it's yours, and we're going to be using this throughout the term. In the next little bit of the video, I show you how to cover a book. If you want to put something cool on the outside, all you need are some scissors, some wrapping paper of some kind, a glue stick. You can use paper or anything to cover it really. Stick the book down inside the wrapping paper. Glue it on both sides so that it sticks really well to the cover all around the edge. Then all I've done here is trim off the edge bits, and then I've cut off the corners around the edge of the book so that it's sort of like a triangle being snipped off the sides. These pieces will then be folded into the cover and glued on afterwards to make it. So as you can see here, I'm just gluing the edges right around the sides, fold those over and press them down, and then wait for them to dry. Once you finish this step, you have your very own science journal ready to go.
Hello again. My family and I were painting this room the other day and listening to a science podcast, and the scientist on there was talking about a creature that I'd never heard about before. My daughter said she had heard of it on Octonauts years ago and still remembered it. It's called the Coconut Octopus. Now, I drew a little picture, which is, super high quality. Here it is, Coconut Octopus, Mrs. Max tribute. And these octopus, they I've seen a video of them now. They get coconuts and they hold them under their legs. So it's like they have one half of a coconut on this side and then another half of the coconut on that side, and then they use their little tips of their tentacles, I think I said legs before, sorry, tentacles, and they walk along on the bottom of the ocean holding coconuts under their legs. Then if they get a fright, they grab the coconut and they jump inside one half and pull the other half on top of them to protect them, so they're stuck inside the coconut as a shell. It is phenomenal. I'd never heard of this before, so I thought I should share it with you today in our interesting science facts that I've just learned. All right. Well, that pretty much wraps up our first episode of Science at Mrs. Mac's house. It's been really nice to have you come along. So underneath this video, once you've watched it, in Google Classroom, you'll find a list of things that I would like you to do before you come back and watch the next video in a couple of days. So those things include making a science journal, and that's for every kid in the school, and no matter how old you are, get yourself a book, get ready, because then you can be putting your science work in that through the term. So that's the first thing. Second thing, if you have any questions, science questions or questions about things that you've seen in this video, please leave them for me also underneath here, because I can answer those in the coming weeks. I think that we could have a little question and answer section in the videos too. So in the coming weeks, there's going to be lots more for you to do on here. There'll be experiments. I will ask you to do some things written down and some things just for fun. There'll be things that you can make. There'll be games about choosing which animals make which animal sounds. And my daughter and I have even been working on a Science in Legoland set that we might be acting out some science videos for you there. So looking forward to all the things that are to come, and I'll see you really soon. See you later. Bye.